Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome inside University of Credit Union Pavilion. Evan Giddings with you here on the WCC Network, and it is rivalry weekend as St. Mary's gets set to take on Gonzaga in a WCC clash this afternoon. Well, the Gales stand at 9-6 overall this season, 3-1 in conference play, coming off a nice win on Thursday night against San Diego down near the border. Meanwhile, Gonzaga stands at 13-4, tied for first in the conference. They have remained perfect thus far in WCC play, 4-0, and they are coming off a win their last time out against Portland at home. Well, as for this game today, it's going to be an uphill battle for St. Mary's, but one that veteran head coach Paul Thomas believes they are up to the task. He told me before the game that this is going to be a test, and he is very curious to see how his team performs here this afternoon against a very good, both inside and out Gonzaga team, a team that ranks first in the conference in terms of three-point field goal percentage, also first in the conference in scoring defense, and they get to the free throw line more than anyone else in the WCC. Meanwhile, St. Mary's has been shooting it very well from distance, and that is certainly something to pay attention to. Nearly 50% over their last 4 games from beyond the perimeter, but it's going to be up to limiting the turnovers here this afternoon, something they do most in the conference, averaging 19.6 giveaways per game. They gave up 26 turnovers against San Diego, and Coach Thomas said that over the past 3 games, teams have averaged just about 15 more shots than St. Mary's, and yet the Gales, over those last 3 games, are 2-1. They defeated Pepperdine 2 games ago, and then, of course, the win against San Diego on Thursday. Now, against the Toreros, it was really all about the strong start and finish for St. Mary's. They outscored San Diego 16-5 in that first quarter, held the Toreros to just 15% shooting from the floor, and then in the fourth quarter outscored them 30-19, eventually winning by 9 points on the road. Gonzaga, on the other hand, not necessarily their best performance against Portland, just a 9-point win against a Portland team that right now stands at 1-2 in the conference play. Senior Sierra Walker led the Bulldogs with 15 points. She also had 3 threes from beyond the arc. It's a very balanced attack for Gonzaga. As we mentioned, they play strong defense. They shoot it pretty well from 3. They out-rebound opponents. They are plus 11 in that category, and they don't really turn over the basketball that much. So it's going to be up to St. Mary's to play key and smooth basketball, play every possession as if the game was tied and not get too ahead of themselves, whether they fall behind or take the lead against a veteran Gonzaga team, and one that has been strong in the conference over the past 5 seasons. 5 consecutive West Coast Conference regular season titles for Gonzaga. They returned 2 starters and 7-letter winners from last year's team that ended up defeating BYU in the conference title game. Well, coming up next, St. Mary's, a litmus test for the Gales against Gonzaga and the Bulldogs from Spokane. Coming up on the WCC Network, my name is Evan Giddings. We'll be back in just a moment. Tip-off and then anthem time here on the WCC Network. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome inside University Credit Union Pavilion. Evan Giddings with you on the WCC Network as St. Mary's prepares to host Gonzaga here in the WCC Clash. St. Mary's 9-6 overall this year, 3-1 in the WCC. Meanwhile, the opposing Bulldogs stand at 13-4 overall, 4-0 in conference play. Your starting lineups this afternoon for the visiting Gonzaga Bulldogs. In the backcourt, Kaylee Trong along with Sierra Walker, and then three forwards in the front court, Anna Virjoge along with Abby O'Connor and Melody Kempton. For St. Mary's, the four-guard lineup along with Allie Bamberger, the lone center, preparing to tip for the Gales. She'll be joined by Maddie Holland, Taylor Dalton, Jade Kirisome, along with Tacey Whedon. Well, the Gales coming off a nice win on Thursday against San Diego. A hot start for them as Gonzaga gets the first look of this afternoon. And coming up short that time was Sierra Walker. Gales in a zone defense to start against a Gonzaga team that has been highly efficient this season, shooting about 45% as a team. Wiggling inside and all the way to the rack is Kaylee Trong, averaging just over 11 points per game. The junior guard out of Houston, Texas, begins the scoring for the Bulldogs. St. Mary's in their home white uniforms, Gonzaga in their road navy blues. As Allie Bamberger from the right block shoots, and she drains it and ties us early on. St. Mary's against San Diego on Thursday held the Toreros to just 15% shooting in that first quarter, allowing them to get out to an 11-point lead. And then in the fourth quarter, outscored San Diego by 11. So it was a strong start and a strong finish for St. Mary's as Gonzaga turns it over. And Kirisome will bring the ball up for St. Mary's. Keys to today's game, as talked about by veteran head coach Paul Thomas, making shots, obviously the open looks, as a three-pointer by Allie Bamberger is good. Right on cue, Bamberger has the first 5 points for St. Mary's. In addition to those opening shots, limiting turnovers, they had 26 on Thursday as Gonzaga cannot convert on the easy look at the rim. Ball tapped out near the corner, played in by the Bulldogs, and here comes Whedon into the front court for St. Mary's. Tacey Whedon, 3 three-pointers away from tying the all-time career three-point record as Maddie Holland from the free throw line shot is off the mark. And of course, Whedon 4 three-pointers from standing alone atop the record books. Trong trying to go down low, batted away by Bamberger. Excellent defense from St. Mary's on the interior. Here comes Kirisome, glides to the rack, had her shot deflected, but Bamberger's there for the offensive rebound. Outside Dalton, her shot is off the back of the board. Dalton into the starting lineup, has been playing very well for St. Mary's over the past couple of games as Gonzaga triggers the transition, and it goes inside for the layup. It was a week ago here that Taylor Dalton was nearly perfect from the floor. Had a season-high 17 points. Now Holland open from the right wing. Her three-pointer is good. Maddie Holland, shooting over 40% from distance this season, knocks down the second triple of the afternoon for St. Mary's, and they've doubled up the early lead, 8-4. From the high post, O'Connor. Out to the wing, there's Kempton. Now with it, Sierra Walker. The redshirt senior drives inside, hands it off, and a free throw line jumper is good by Anna Virjoge. Doesn't score a whole lot, does the Romanian. A redshirt senior forward, just averaging 2 points per game, but able to stick that J. And now Bamberger at the top of the key for St. Mary's, leaves it for Holland, who just drained a three from that position a possession ago. Holland had 18 points and 10 rebounds against San Diego on Thursday. Here's Kirisome, 6 on the shot clock as she backs out. Looking for the screen from Bamberger. She's got a hoist. Bamberger, open look, top of the key, in and out. And the ball batted and recovered by Gonzaga. Gonzaga itself coming off a win. They've won 3 in a row. St. Mary's has won 2. And Gonzaga defeated University of Portland by 9 on Thursday. Three-pointer is too strong there from Kaylee Trong. Rebound secured by St. Mary's. Here comes Tacey Whedon. The three-pointer's on the way, and it's good. 2 away from tying the record. And Tacey Whedon from distance. 3 threes already for St. Mary's in the opening quarter. That's three-pointer number 269 for Whedon. As the other way, Kaylee Trong sneaks inside, gets a nice dish, and lays it up for two. The Gills so far 5 of 8, 4 of 8 from the floor. Gonzaga 5 of 8. And so far, St. Mary's has looked good, looked efficient. Bamberger asking for it inside. Holland can't get it to her, instead swings it to Whedon, who hoists from 3. Bamberger collected the offensive rebound. I think that shot got tipped by Abby O'Connor, and Bamberger, the recipient of the air ball, goes up and forces the foul. First team foul. First foul committed by either side this afternoon, as for St. Mary's, Kira Somey will head to the bench, and Leah Hannafin will come in for the first time, the sophomore guard out of Melbourne, Australia. And Bamberger, who steps to the stripe, is a 74% free throw shooter, hit 8 of 9 from the stripe on Thursday against San Diego. It's her first. Bamberger, 7th in the conference right now, averaging 14.6 points per game. And 2nd in the WCC, grabbing 9.5 rebounds per contest. She's 2 of 2 from the free throw line, and St. Mary's has a 5-point lead. Just a little over 5 minutes to go here in this first quarter. Clean basketball from both sides. Just one foul, not a turnover for St. Mary's, just one for Gonzaga. As driving inside off the block is Yvonne Ejim, and that shot is too strong. Good defense down low by the Gales. Holland inside, step through move, little floater, too strong, but a good look by St. Mary's. Up ahead comes Trong, she'll pull up. Now gives it up to her sister, Kaylin Trong. Both again, juniors out of the Houston, Texas area. Now O'Connor at the top of the key, being defended by Hannafin. Over to Trong in the corner, closing out Whedon. Three-pointer, little long, and here comes Taylor Dalton. The high motor guard for St. Mary's gives it up for Holland. To the corner now, Hannafin. St. Mary's employing their motion offense, one that has been extremely efficient as of late, especially from distance. Dalton can't connect there, but St. Mary's over its past 4 games shooting 46% from distance, as Trong will step into a 3. Nothing but net. Kaylee Trong with her second triple. Gonzaga trailing by 2. Gonzaga in a player-to-player defense. Dalton looking to get it to Bamberger. The give and go as Dalton goes inside, has it blocked out of bounds. Nice weak side recovery by Melody Kempton to come in. And as the ball go out of bounds, that will send us to our first immediate timeout. 3:44 to play here in quarter number 1. St. Mary's 3 threes has helped them to get out to a 2-point edge, 13-11. And we return after this message on the WCC Network. Welcome back inside UCU Pavilion. St. Mary's and Gonzaga here in first quarter action. The Gales have hit a trio of triples and lead by 2, 13-11. Taylor Dalton driving baseline off the inbound, swings it out to St. Mary's, and that's Ellie Croco, the sophomore from Lebanon, Oregon, into the game. Hannafin banks it in, but after the shot clock expired. Good defense from Gonzaga, forcing a double team out on the perimeter. Hannafin with a strong shot, a good shot off the glass, but unfortunately it will not count. St. Mary's, after opening up and making 5 of its first 7 shots, has gone a little bit cold. 0 for its last 4 as a jumper from the right baseline is off for Gonzaga. Stripped out of bounds. It will remain in possession of the Bulldogs. Inbounding Kaylee Trong, who's got 7 points for Gonzaga, and she dumps it off inside to Yvonne Ejim, who has her first basket of the afternoon, and we're tied at 13. Dalton on the floor along with Croco, and a wrap into the game for St. Mary's as well. Setting a screen there on the outside for St. Mary's is Amy West, as they swing it into the corner for Croco. Back out Dalton, lost the handle, into the backcourt it goes. And finally a backcourt violation is called. So that's just the first turnover for St. Mary's. Again, a team that averages the most in the conference, nearly 20 per game. And they've done a great job thus far taking care of the basketball, just their first giveaway against this Gonzaga team that is currently vying for the top of the WCC. Into the day 4-0, tied with 17th ranked BYU. Top of the key now, Hollingsworth. They'll dump it down low to Ejim. Double team comes from St. Mary's. The block is made, but ball ends up right in the hands of Hollingsworth, who lays it in easily. The redshirt sophomore from Melbourne, Australia, got the fortuitous bounce, and Gonzaga has its first lead, 15-13. Inside for St. Mary's, a little give and go, and Amy West, the recipient of a nice dish from Taylor Dalton. Over the past couple of games, St. Mary's has established itself on the inside before hitting on the perimeter, and a 3-point play the other way by Michaela Williams as she converts. But instead today, St. Mary's has had some success from the outside. 3 3-pointers. And Gonzaga will go to the free throw line for the first time today. They're 9 of 16 from the floor. Team that averages just under 70 points per game. About the same amount that St. Mary's allows defensively. And the 3-point play converted. Kira Some working on Strong. The screen from West. Dribbles inside, back out to West. Looking for an open Whedon, but not there. Instead, Bamberger nearly has it wrestled away. And now taken away by Gonzaga. Strip in the backcourt, a 3-on-2. Out to the perimeter, now diving inside. A little dump off to Ejim, who lost the handle. Ball on the deck, and a jump ball is called. Possession arrow to St. Mary's. Nice play by Bamberger along with West, getting down onto the hardwood, making sure that Gonzaga was not going to have a second chance at that possession. Holland now facing a double team. Passes out of it. Bamberger swings it. Tipped by Gonzaga, stolen away. So 3 turnovers in the past 4 possessions for St. Mary's after they did not have any for the first 7 minutes of this first quarter. Bulldogs leading by 3. Minute 20 to go here, first period. Coming off the screen there is Sierra Walker. She'll now back it out. Hands off Ejim. Little high-low action. She dives inside. Lost the handle. And it is ruled off of Bamberger. Might have got a hand in the cookie jar and stays in possession of the Navy Blue Bulldogs. Inbounds play to Walker. The lefty fires. Too strong. Rebound to Kirasome. Kirasome, who missed last weekend's game against Pepperdine, a win for St. Mary's, but she did have a shoulder injury, returned against San Diego. Played 21 minutes off the bench, and a nice return for her. Down low inside, Holland off of a delicious dime by Abby Bamberger. And now a turnover in the backcourt, and St. Mary's will receive the ball. But how about that dime? Ali Bamberger dropping it right over the top, and Holland able to lay it in easily. Under a minute here in the first quarter. St. Mary's has looked strong so far against one of the conference's top talents. Whedon. Bounce pass out to Holland, being defended by Williams. Gonzaga still in their zone. Kirasome to Whedon. Tries to go for the baseline, cut off. Looking for an opening. There's 10 to shoot. 30 on the game clock. Now 6 on the shot clock. Holland inside West, who just kind of flips it up there off the backboard. Ends up out of bounds. 2 to shoot, as the ball did not touch the rim, but St. Mary's remains in possession. So the Gales got to get a quick look here. A little tap out from Bamberger. Whedon just has to turn and throw it up. I don't think she got it off in time. And so shot clock turned off. And Gonzaga will get the last look of the first period. Bulldogs shooting 53%, St. Mary's 40%. But the Gales +6 from three-point range. Strong being defended by Kirasome. Little left-hand pass to the top. Williams dives inside. But not before a foul is called on St. Mary's. Looks like Holland may have ran over Ejim. And just the second team foul of the first quarter. That will be number 1 on Holland. Inbounds play for Gonzaga. 4 to shoot. Down low, Ejim. Bamberger defending. She'll flip it up. No good. Rebound to Holland. And St. Mary's survives the final attack of the first quarter from Gonzaga. A tight one through the first 10 minutes here at UCU Pavilion. Gonzaga 18, St. Mary's 17. And we'll be back with a second quarter after this. My name is Evan Giddings, and you're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on the WCC Network. Afternoon, everyone. Welcome back inside UCU Pavilion from Moraga, California. My name is Evan Giddings here on the WCC Network, and St. Mary's trailing by 1 as we begin quarter number 2. 18-17 against Gonzaga, right now tied at the top of the West Coast Conference. Kaylee Trong takes a pick, glides to the free throw line, pulls up for the J, in and out, nearly gets, and now retrieves her own rebound, and she'll kick it back out as the shot clock resets. In that first quarter, Gonzaga shot 50% from the floor as Sierra Walker comes up short on that baseline jump shot, wrestled away by Anna Virjage, and yet she commits a foul in the process. St. Mary's won the turnover battle in the first period, 2 for the Gales, 4 for the Bulldogs. However, points in the paint was the lone difference and kept Gonzaga in that first quarter, 14 points in the paint. Kirasome with the crossover. Bamberger finds an open Whedon, foot inside the three-point line. Nothing but, well, really just nothing at that point, as Kirasome tried to keep it in, could not do so. Also, Gonzaga getting a little more production from its bench at this point. 7-2 advantage in that category. Strong with the punt fake. Jab step, now drives inside, pulls up from 8 feet. A little bit short, but gets the roll. And so Kaylee Trong has a game-high 9 points for St. Mary's. Pardon me, that's Kaylin Trong with her first basket. Twin of her sister Kaylee. And so Gonzaga now up by 3. Time for the largest lead of the afternoon. Dalton comes up short there. Up ahead to Trong. St. Mary's remains in their zone defense, trying to take away the interior presence of Gonzaga. Trong, an open 3 from the top of the key. That's off the mark and rolls out of bounds. Hannah Rapp returns for St. Mary's, and Kirasome will head to the bench. Meanwhile, for Gonzaga, Kaylin Trong enters, and that's a breather for Sierra Walker. St. Mary's looking for its 3rd straight victory. After a W last weekend against Pepperdine, they defeated San Diego on Thursday. Gonzaga has won 3 in a row. Bamberger inside, a little step-through move. Thought she drew contact, no call. And up ahead comes the Bulldogs. Veer Joge, as Bamberger steps out. Now she'll swing it left. And they set up the pick. Strong now, trying to get Rapp off of her. Drives inside. Throws up an errant shot that got touched on the shoulder, it looked like, by Rapp, and that'll be 2 free throws for Gonzaga. Heads-up play made there by Trong. And that's Kaylee, who's averaging just over 11 points per game. Shoots 45% from the floor, 42% from three-point land. And hits on her first free throw. Just the 2nd trip to the stripe this afternoon for Gonzaga. And they go up 4, make that 5. St. Mary's led by as many as 5 in that first quarter. Opening hot start, they find an open Bamberger down low. Nice pass by Hannah Rapp, and Bamberger easily lays it in with the left hand. Strong crosses over, dribbled it off of Rapp's foot. Good defense by St. Mary's. The 5th turnover of the afternoon for Gonzaga, as Rapp nearly loses it. Now recovers, looks to drive inside, and a foul is called. Strong wanted a double dribble, but got caught with her hand in the cookie jar. That'll be the first team foul of this 2nd quarter. And the 2nd personal on Kaylee Trong, so she'll have to head to the bench, and replacing her is Melody Kempton. So a lot of size on the floor right now for Gonzaga. St. Mary's with its 4-guard lineup. Whedon steps back for 3, short. Bamberger fights for the rebound. Captain play by Trong. Gonzaga ends up with the loose ball. So here comes Kaylin, being defended by Dalton. Swings it right, looking for Veer Joge, who steps out, looking to set the screen. Instead, driving to the baseline is Abby O'Connor. Bulldogs will reset from the elbow. Good defense by Dalton, and now a traveling violation is called on Kaylin Trong. Kirasome subs back in for Whedon. And St. Mary's has hung with Gonzaga for the first period plus of this game here today. They trail by 3 as Kirasome breaks the press. Rapp over on the right wing, down low Bamberger, give and go, Rapp to the rack, and blew the bunny. Had no one there, but another good offensive possession for St. Mary's. They have generated high-quality looks thus far, and now in the corner, that's Bree Salenbein, the freshman guard from Michigan, who stepped on the baseline, and another Gonzaga turnover. That's 8 already for the Zags, compared to just 5 for St. Mary's. The Gales have not won many turnover battles this season. and so far are doing so against a team that's been very good at taking care of the basketball thus far this year. And right on cue, St. Mary's gives it up. Salem Bine, who was named the West Coast Conference Rookie of the Week last week, pulls up for a free throw line. Jay in and out. Bamberger wrestles away the board, and the outlet pass up ahead goes to Kirasome. Looking for Bamberger, top of the key three, too strong. She's already hit one today, 6 total on the season. Bamberger coming off of a 21-point, 8-rebound performance on Thursday against San Diego. 5.5 to go here in quarter number 2. 3-pointer on the way from Salem Bine. That ball is off. And now just 1 of 5 from 3 for Gonzaga. 3 turnovers between both sides in the past 2 minutes. And neither team has found the basket over the past 2.5 minutes. Dalton into the corner for Rapp. Thought about a 3, picked up a pivot foot, and that's going to be a travel. And so after the early flurry of offense between both sides, it's clear that both St. Mary's and Gonzaga have settled in defensively. And McKenna Mastora will come onto the floor for St. Mary's, her first time on the hardwood today. Meanwhile, Whedon returns for the Gales as both Dalton along with Rapp will head to the bench. Salem Bine down low to Ejim. Faces up. Jay right there. Holland almost dared her to take it, and Ejim came up short. Holland the rebound. Had a double-double on Thursday, and that's already her 3rd board. Gives it up for Kirasome. A lot of action off the ball for St. Mary's. Holland over to Kirasome. Looks for Whedon. Sidesteps. Thought about a 3. Holland inside floater. Got the soft touch. Ball dead off the back of the rim and in for Holland. And that breaks the scoring drought for St. Mary's. Gonzaga looking to do the same. They haven't been able to score over the past 3.5 minutes. Salem Bine from the perimeter. Takes the screen, cut off by Whedon. Now Trong crosses over, nearly lost the handle, picks up her dribble. 7 to shoot. Salem Bine with 5. To the free throw line, tries to curl around Bamberger, has to force off the back of the rim. Ejim's there for the offensive rebound and put back. Good defense by St. Mary's, but Gonzaga, who has won the offensive rebounding battle thus far today, cleans it up and goes back up by 3. Both teams have led by as many as 5. It's been a tightly contested one through the first 2.5 quarters. 3:30 to go here in period number 2. Driving inside Mastora, the lefty to the rack, lays it up, in and out. A little bit too strong by Mastora. Bamberger pokes it free, but Gonzaga is able to recover in the backcourt. Well, if your head coach, Paul Thomas for St. Mary's, you got to be happy with the effort thus far. Said before the game he was very curious to see how his team would respond to a team like Gonzaga, and Trong drains the fadeaway. Gonzaga has won the regular season WCC title each of the past 5 years, and St. Mary's has absolutely hung with them so far in this first half. Whedon, double team, screams out at her. She steps back, thought about the 3, and now off the feed from Holland to the baseline. 8 to shoot. Mastora crosses over to the rack. She goes, draws contact, and is able to lay it in. Tough finish by McKenna Mastora. Down low, Gonzaga up and in, but the foul called on the floor. Heads up play by Holland. Knew she had gotten beat on the baseline by Melody Kempton and decided to commit the foul. And that will take us to the media timeout. 2 minutes and 34 seconds left here in quarter number 2. Gonzaga leading St. Mary's here from UCU Pavilion 26-23. And we'll be back after this. My name is Evan Giddings, and you're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on the WCC Network.
I'm sorry.
Welcome back to UCU Pavilion. Evan Giddings with you on the WCC Network, and St. Mary's going toe-to-toe with the class of the West Coast Conference in Gonzaga. 26-23, the Zags lead, and St. Mary's has been extremely efficient at the beginning of this game, has been stellar defensively in this second quarter, as a three-pointer on the way is off the mark by Eliza Hollingsworth. Ball tapped out towards the midcourt marker and retrieved by Kaylin Trong. Gales shooting 36%, and the Bulldogs shooting 39%. Strong with 8 on the shot clock, has to make a move, takes the screen there from Virjoge, goes all the way to the rim and draws contact. And she will go to the free throw line. Really a cleanly played game thus far. Pretty even in terms of turnovers, 8 for Gonzaga, 7 for St. Mary's. Just a total of now 7 personal fouls committed between both sides. That'd be the third team foul of the second quarter for St. Mary's. And Amy West actually picked up the foul there for the Gales, her first. First free throw off the mark by Trong. Well, her sister, Kaylee Trong, has been the leading scorer thus far for Gonzaga with 9 points, but foul trouble, 2 early personals, has her sitting on the bench for the majority of this second quarter. St. Mary's beating the press as Mastora now turns around from the baseline. Looking down low for Aspen Garrison. First time we've seen her this afternoon. Ball tipped out, retrieved by Dalton. Dangerously close to a backcourt violation, but now Dalton, hesitation inside, gets it out to West, who recovers. 6 to shoot for St. Mary's. West goes inside, tries to get around Williams. Might have had it tipped, either way underneath the basket, and Gonzaga into the front court. Leading by 4, they've led by as many as 5 today. And it's pretty much been back and forth. 2 lead changes and 3 ties here in this first half, as we have just under 90 seconds to go here in the second period. Gonzaga out-rebounding St. Mary's 20-14. But St. Mary's has been able to do some damage from distance. 3 triples, +6 in that category. All 3 of which came in the first 5 minutes of the first quarter. And so Kaylin Strong kicks it back out. And here's Hollingsworth. Will swing it over to Williams. Williams to the free throw line, all the way to the lane. Blocked away by Garrison, out of bounds. But it's going to be off of a white jersey. Really strong defensive showing from both sides here in quarter number 2. Just 3 field goals for Gonzaga, as well as St. Mary's. Both teams have locked in. Williams pulls up. That's in and out. Offensive rebound, Ejim. She goes back up and puts it in. Her second offensive putback here in the quarter. And Yvonne Ejim, who does most of her work defensively, first on the Zags in terms of steals as well as blocks, has been doing damage offensively and puts Gonzaga up by a game-high 6 points with under a minute to go here in quarter number 2. Dalton, pass out to Hannafin, nearly stolen. Now she has an opening, dumps it off to Garrison, and her layup is good. So Hannafin recognizing the weakness in the defense and cuts the lead back to 4. About an 8-second separation between shot clock and game clock now. Ejim sidesteps inside, off the backboard, too strong. Ball tipped down, and it's going to be off of Gonzaga. Nice box out there by Leah Hannafin. As it looks like Allie Bamberger along with Jade Kurisome will enter back into the game for St. Mary's. Meanwhile, Gonzaga substitutes Kempton. So Garrison and McKenna head to the bench. Also, Maddie Holland comes in for Hannafin. So shot clock turned off. Gales have a chance to go into the locker room trailing by at the most 4. That's about all you can ask for against a Gonzaga team that has been unbeaten in the WCC thus far. St. Mary's here at home has played well in this first half, as Kurisome orchestrates the offense. Left wing, 10 on the shot clock. Looking down low for Bamberger. Holland outside Dalton. She'll pull for 3. That's off right. 3 seconds left. Ball down on the deck. Picked up by Gonzaga. Played out. The shot comes beyond the shot clock as the buzzer sounds. But a strong performance, especially defensively in the second quarter for St. Mary's. They hold Gonzaga to just 4 field goals, and they trail by 4 heading into the locker room against the team tied at the top of the West Coast Conference. 29-25, Gonzaga leads St. Mary's here inside UCU Pavilion, and we'll be back with second half action after this. You're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on the WCC Network. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, inside UCU Pavilion, where St. Mary's trails Gonzaga at the half, 29-25. A hard-fought first half between both sides, and almost dead even across all statistical categories, as the Gales have hung with the Bulldogs for the first 20 minutes and hope to try and walk out of here with a victory after the next 20. St. Mary's shooting 34% from the floor, Gonzaga 38%. The difference has really been from distance. Gonzaga, a team that is first in the West Coast Conference, shooting 36% on the season. Just 1 of 6 from beyond the perimeter. Meanwhile, the Gales have hit 3 three-pointers, all of which came in the first quarter. Turnovers even as well, and St. Mary's has won that battle thus far. A key to the game, according to their head coach, Paul Thomas, 8-7 as far as turnovers are concerned. Gonzaga with 1 more than the Gales. Now, the Bulldogs have won the rebounding battle quite handedly, 24-15 in the first half, including 9 offensive rebounds, as well as bench points, 16-6 in favor of Gonzaga, and 20-12. Gonzaga the edge in terms of points in the paint. So St. Mary's is going to have to continue to apply its keys, making their shots, limiting turnovers, and rebounding the basketball. The defense was stellar, especially in that second quarter, held Gonzaga, a team that averages nearly 70 points, to just 25% shooting from the floor. However, they were unable, St. Mary's was, to get it going on offense. It was 18-17 after the first quarter, but St. Mary's just an 8-point second quarter, and they trail by 4 entering the second half. Now, the second half is where they established themselves against San Diego in the win on Thursday night, especially in the fourth quarter, plus 11, as they, I'm sure, are hoping that it does not come down to those final 10 minutes. It was against Pepperdine a week ago, last Saturday, that they really pulled away in the third quarter and established themselves defensively, really honed in on the defensive side of the floor, and that is hopefully where it is going to start for the Gales to begin this second half. 29-25, Gonzaga leads by 4, as they will start with the basketball. 5 on the floor for Gonzaga in their road navy blues. They include Kaylee Trong, who had 2 personal fouls, had 9 points in just 8 minutes in the first half, and she's now into double digits as she lays it in softly off the window for Gonzaga. Also Sierra Walker on the floor, Melody Kempton, Abby O'Connor, and Anna Virjoge for Gonzaga. Taylor Dalton's floater is too short, but saved there by Bamberger. Nice play on the interior to keep the possession alive, and Kirasome turns it over. For St. Mary's, we mentioned Taylor Dalton along with Kirasome, Ali Bamberger, Maddie Holland, and Tacey Whedon, the 5 starters on the floor for the Gales in their home white uniforms. O'Connor takes the screen, tries to dump it off down low, looking for Kempton, and batted out of bounds. Bamberger made it difficult to drop that pass in and ended up angling off of Kempton. And so a pair of turnovers split evenly between both ways a minute into the second quarter. Largest lead for Gonzaga is currently 6. St. Mary's led by as many as 5 early going. Bamberger inside, spins her way to the rim and lays it in. Soft touch from Ali Bamberger and gets St. Mary's on the board to begin quarter number 3. Bamberger coming off of a big night on Thursday, 21 points against San Diego. She's into double digits, and she's got 11 as Strong hands it off. Blocked away from behind by Whedon. Nice recovery defense by the Gales. Kirasome in transition. Gives it up to Dalton, who dumps it off to Holland. Bounce pass out. Dalton thought about a 3. Now drives inside, has an angle to the rack, and lays it in with the left hand. But now a timeout on the floor is called as Bamberger came up limping after that last possession. And hopefully nothing major, as she walks off the floor under her own power to the bench, and Amy West will return for St. Mary's. 2-point deficit for the Gales, 31-29. Bamberger appeals to be all right on the bench, just looking for a breather. And hopefully we'll see her back out on the floor sooner rather than later. Strong pulls up, left baseline, tipped back out by Virjoge over the top of Holland. And a second chance opportunity for Gonzaga. They're +9 in that category so far this afternoon. Virjoge from the high post gives it off Walker. The lefty spins it over to Kempton. Into the corner to Connor. He's got 3 to shoot. She'll pull up, Front rim, no. Tapped out. Offensive rebound again, Gonzaga. And that's number 11 on the ball game for the Bulldogs. Strong tries to force contact. Got hit from behind or slightly by Dalton, but is still able to put it in. Nice jumper there by Kaylee Trong. She's got 13 on 5 of 7 shooting from the floor to lead all scorers. Dalton a pass over to Whedon. Whedon, who hit three-pointer number 269 earlier in the game. Holland's fadeaway is no good, but Whedon, of course, looking for 2 more to tie the all-time three-point program record, 3 to break it. Verjoge inside with an easy turnaround over the top of Holland. Gonzaga opens up a 6-point edge. And right now the Gales looking for answers on offense. Whedon steps back, pulls up, good-looking jump shot, but off the back of the rim and spins out. Unable to fall for St. Mary's. Strong the other way, gives it up to Kempton. Down low to Verjoge, just throws it way over the top. Verjoge thought there was a foul, but that pass was far beyond the outstretched hands of the 6'5" Romanian. Ali Bamberger returns to the game for St. Mary's, a good sign for the Gales. As West will head to the bench. Bamberger such an integral part, not only offensively, but defensively as well. Hanging with the size that Gonzaga has to offer. Dalton from the corner for 3, short. And loose rebound gobbled up by Gonzaga. The Gales shooting just 35% on the game. Gonzaga shooting 39%. O'Connor thought about going left, now dumps it off to Yvonne Ejim. Had 9 points off the bench in that first half, including 5 rebounds, 3 of them offensive, and cannot convert on the layup there. Bamberger the rebound. Kirasome to Holland. Holland into the corner for Whedon. Not a lot of room, so she'll kick it back out and the Gales swing it. Looking at a player-to-player defensive set for Gonzaga. That's what they've been employing the majority of the afternoon. 5.5 to go here in quarter number 3. Gales trail by 6. Bamberger dives inside, goes at Verjoge with the left hand, and 1. Bamberger right off the bench and back into the bucket. And so she'll go to the free throw line, a place she has been perfect so far today. Broadcaster Jinx in and out. But Gonzaga came across the stripe, so Bamberger will get another opportunity. Lane violation on the Bulldogs. And she converts the second chance at a first impression. Just the 4th free throw that St. Mary's has taken here today, all of which by Bamberger. Gonzaga's been to the free throw line only 3 times. Trong dives into the paint, dumps it off to an open Kempton, but cannot control it, and it rolls out of bounds. St. Mary's basketball. Well, St. Mary's has won the turnover battle today. That was a key to the game for head coach Thomas. 10-8. They have done a great job of taking care of the rock and not giving Gonzaga extra possessions. Inside Holland, poked away by Ejim, remains in possession of the Gales. And as the ball goes out of bounds under 5, that will take us to the media timeout. Under 5 to play here in quarter number 3. Gonzaga with a slight 3-point edge over St. Mary's, 35-32. When we return, my name is Evan Giddings, and you're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on the WCC Network. St. Mary's trails by 3 here with just under 5 to play here in the third quarter from inside UCU Pavilion. Evan Giddings with you on the WCC Network, 35-32. And St. Mary's dives quickly inside to Bamberger, who lays it in. Allie Bamberger, now 5 of 8 from the floor. 16 points for the St. Mary's center. And she draws the deficit to 1 as Trong the other way hoists from 3. That is off the mark. Just 1 of 7 from downtown for Gonzaga. This is a team that is top 25 in the nation in terms of three-point percentage. Trong unable to convert on the hanging runner. And St. Mary's on the rebound the other way. To Whedon into the corner. She drives baseline, has an opening, and kicks it out, deflected by Trong, out of bounds. Have to give credit to St. Mary's for running Gonzaga off of the three-point line and limiting the amount of damage that the Bulldogs have done with the offensive rebounds, the second chance opportunities. That is why this game has been so tight the entire way. Kirasome into the lane, steps through, blocked from behind by Ejim, out of bounds. 7 on the shot clock. Both teams now shooting exactly 37%. Off the inbounds, 5 to shoot. Whedon, and gets bailed out with a reach-in foul, and that is going to be number 3 on Kaylee Trong. She had 2 quick personals in the first quarter, and that's unfortunate for Gonzaga, as their leading scorer with 13 points will have to sit with 3:59 left here in period number 3. Dalton back into the game for St. Mary's. Inbounds to Kirasome, goes right to Bamberger, and a fresh shot clock for St. Mary's. Kirasome off the dish. Into the lane, dumps it off Dalton, right there to Bamberger, met by a couple of navy blue jerseys and blocked away by Kempton. Up ahead Gonzaga. Michaela Williams storms into the lane, just shoves away the defender, and her layup is no good, but Gonzaga secures the rebound. Kaylin Trong, twin of Kaylee, now handles the rock up top and dishes it off to Walker. Corner Williams. 5 to shoot. Ejim steps through. Lefty push shot is too short. Good defense by Bamberger, and Holland has the board. Rebound number 4 for Maddie Holland. Now St. Mary's looking at a zone defense from Gonzaga, kind of a hybrid zone. As Holland goes right at Ejim, picks up her dribble, and with 10 to shoot, gives it up to number 10 and Taylor Dalton. Calling for the screen from Bamberger. Looks left, nothing there. Over to Whedon, has to hoist with 2 left off the side of the backboard, and that's going to be a shot clock violation. Well, we talked about how St. Mary's has ran Gonzaga off the three-point line, where Gonzaga has done the same. Since 3 early triples were knocked down by St. Mary's in the first period, none since from distance for St. Mary's. Gonzaga turns it over. Holland comes away with the steal. 2.5 to play, period number 3. Holland turns around. That's where she likes the fadeaway, and said gives it up to Dalton. Back out Holland. Working on Ejim inside. Blocked away by Ejim. And she came into the game with 22 blocks. Tied for first on the team in that category. And she's already got a couple here in period number 3. As she goes to the bench. Back into the game for Gonzaga is Hollingsworth. Meanwhile, St. Mary's will substitute Mastora in for Kirasome along with Hannafin, and Holland will take a breather. Gonzaga has led for the majority of this game, but St. Mary's has hung around the entire time. Pass inside, poked away from Bamberger, stolen by Gonzaga. Now Bamberger is down on the court on the other end. She gets up slowly. 5-on-4 opportunity for Gonzaga, but they can't convert as Hannafin grabs the board inside, ripped away, and a foul is called on the Bulldogs. Bamberger, who we saw go to the bench earlier in this quarter with what looked like a leg injury, then returned only a couple minutes later and scored quickly. So perhaps just taking her time to recover as she stays in the game. St. Mary's breaking the press. Under 2 to go here in quarter 3. Gales trailing by 1. Mastora, she likes to take it inside. Dumps it off to Bamberger with the pass a little bit too long. So the 11th turnover of the afternoon for St. Mary's. They average just about 20. But considering the amount of giveaways they had on Thursday, total 26, still won against San Diego. Have to be impressed with the way they've taken care of the basketball this afternoon. Sierra Walker, 4-3. And that's just Gonzaga's second triple on the day, first of this second half. And Dalton, who was trying to dump it off to Bamberger, had it bounce out of bounds off of Kempton. And Maddie Holland re-enters for Mastora. Gonzaga is led by as many as 6. St. Mary's is led by as many as 5. Whedon quickly off the inbounds play, forces the jump shot short, but Holland's there for the offensive board. Whedon for 3. Toulon, Bamberger there, up and in. So a couple of offensive rebounds produce 2 points for St. Mary's, and they trail by a deuce. Trong now hesitates at the free throw line, and Gonzaga will swing it out. Corner 3 on the way. Nothing, as it's an air ball. Under a minute to play here in the third quarter. Down inside they go to Kempton. She tries to maneuver around Bamberger, forced the shot up and drew contact, and she will head to the free throw line. Melody Kempton, the senior forward out of Post Falls, Idaho, averaging about 11 points per game, but today has been extremely quiet, has not scored yet. Although she does lead the conference in field goal percentage. She shoots 57% on the season and cannot convert on her first free throw opportunity. Gonzaga as a team now 4 of 6 from the stripe. And buckets have been hard to come by this afternoon for both sides. Defensive intensity has been high the entire game. And as evidenced recently, St. Mary's just one of their last 7. Gonzaga one of their last 8 from the floor. 40 seconds to go. 15-second shot clock violation. Dalton inside. Bamberger there. Taylor Dalton drops it off, and Bamberger finishes for St. Mary's. And so the Gales trail by 1 again. Looking for a defensive stop. Trong inside. Hangs. Cannot get the bucket to go, but will go to the free throw line. And Kaylin Trong has been forced into much of the ball handling duties this afternoon since her twin sister Kaylee has been in foul trouble. And so Kaylin Trong has played about 20 minutes. Her sister Kaylee has played only 15. First free throw up and good. Second free throw on the way. And 2 of 2 from the stripe. So 20 seconds, shot clock is off. The Gales down by 3. They're going to keep it that way going at least into the fourth quarter. Dalton passes out of the double team. Kirasome breaks it. Down the lane she goes. Dumps it off Bamberger. Uses her body to create space and forces contact. Got hit from the front and the back. And so we'll see whether it's Virjoge or Ejim that collects the personal. 14th foul in the quarter for Gonzaga. Not that it matters much with just 6.4 seconds left on the game clock. And now Aspen Garrison, the freshman from Bellingham, Washington, will check in for Holland. Make sure that Halton, who has 2 personal fouls, does not pick up number 3 in the next 6 seconds. Bamberger from the stripe is up and good. She's been the only Gale to get to the free throw line today and has been perfect thus far. A chance to cut it to 1. And she does. Allie Bamberger has been huge today for St. Mary's. 22 points to lead all scorers. Gonzaga turns it over. 2 on the clock. Up ahead. Dalton at the horn. wouldn't have counted anyways, but a strong defensive effort down the stretch from St. Mary's, and they trimmed the deficit to 1 as we head into the final 10 minutes here inside UCU Pavilion. Gonzaga 41, St. Mary's 40. Don't go anywhere, and you're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on the WCC Network. We got ourselves a good one as we go into the fourth quarter. St. Mary's trailing Gonzaga by just 1. 41-40 our score into the final 10 minutes here from Moraga, California. Evan Giddings with you on the WCC Network. Glad you could join us for this rivalry game that has lived up to its billing. Leah Hannafin inside for St. Mary's, passes it out and out of bounds. The Gales outscored Gonzaga 15-12 in that third quarter, led by 13 points in the quarter alone from Allie Bamberger. She's got a game-high 22 to lead all scorers. Meanwhile, Gonzaga as a team shooting just 35%, St. Mary's 36. As that jump shot is off from inside, O'Connor goes up again and gets the bounce. And it's the Bulldogs that strike first here in the fourth quarter. Well, it was the fourth quarter on Thursday against San Diego as Bamberger hoists from 3, too strong. Offensive rebound, Garrison. The fourth quarter that saw them outscore the Toreros 30-19, including a strong stretch to begin that quarter that allowed them to walk away with a 9-point win. Bamberger inside, uses her body as a shield, nearly gets it to go. And Veer Joge was able to wrestle away the rebound off of the miss. Up ahead now, here comes Trong. Kaylee Trong back into the game, sat for most of the third quarter with 3 personal fouls, as she will back it out. She leads all scores for Gonzaga with 13 points in 16 minutes. Leaves it up for Sierra Walker. Veer Joge at the high post, dumps it off O'Connor, comes around the pick. Jump shot is pure. O'Connor has been pretty quiet this afternoon. The senior from South Bend, and now a timeout called by Paul Thomas. 5-point lead for Gonzaga. First 2 buckets of the fourth quarter go to Gonzaga, and we will extend this into immediate timeout and step aside. 8:26 left here in the fourth quarter. 45-40. Gonzaga leads. We'll be back in just a moment. My name is Evan Giddings, and you're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on the WCC Network. St. Mary's hanging with Gonzaga here in the fourth quarter. Moraga, California. Evan Giddings with you on the WCC Network. 8:26 to play in regulation, and St. Mary's trails by 5. Dalton along with Whedon, Bamberger, Holland, and Kirasome, the 5 on the floor for St. Mary's in their home white uniforms, and a foul is called. And that's going to go against Gonzaga. So out of the St. Mary's timeout, Dalton will take it, and a handoff to Whedon. Holland secures for St. Mary's, left-handed pass, skips it over to the corner for Kirasome. 6 to shoot on the shot clock. Kirasome drives inside, some contact there, but a good job by Walker to move her feet and stay in front of Kirasome. First 2 baskets of this fourth quarter have gone to Gonzaga after St. Mary's trailed by 1 heading into the fourth. O'Connor inside, who has one of those baskets, cannot hit. Ball tipped up. Offensive rebound again to Gonzaga. They've dominated the glass so far this afternoon. 36-26, including 15, now 16 offensive rebounds. Trong inside. She hangs, unable to hit. Loose ball on the deck, and Whedon snares it for the Gales. Up ahead, Tacey Whedon has been quiet today. Just 1 of 8 from the floor and 3 points for St. Mary's leading scorer. Kirasome with a little bit of an ankle breaker. Down low, Holland, left-handed layup is good. Kirasome broke down the defense, and Holland was there to lay it in. 3-point lead for Gonzaga. 7 minutes here in this fourth quarter. Walker for 3. In and around and down. Good looking shot there from Walker. She's only taken 2 threes, but has hit both of them. And Gonzaga as a group just 3 of 10 from downtown. And a team that leads the West Coast Conference in that category. St. Mary's has done a great job of limiting their damage on the perimeter as Bamberger will try the response. That's too short, but Holland, the offensive rebound, goes up, sort of flips it without seeing where the rim was, nearly got it to go. But the rebound to Gonzaga. Up ahead, Ejim. Thought she may have pulled her pivot foot, instead dives inside, forces the contact on Holland, and will head to the free throw line. Well, head coach Thomas said that this was going to be a great test for his St. Mary's team. And so far, they have absolutely measured up against the team that is tied for first in the West Coast Conference. 4-0 in conference play is Gonzaga, tied with 17th ranked BYU. Considering BYU very much so handled St. Mary's about a week and a half ago at Provo. Win or loss today, you love the response by St. Mary's against a team that is equally as talented as the likes of BYU and has been the winner of the West Coast Conference regular season title each of the past 5 seasons. 2 of 2 from the free throw line, and now a game-high 8-point lead for Gonzaga. Kirasome looks for Bamberger, had it stripped away, taken away by Kempton. Nice play by Walker. Up ahead, Gonzaga goes to Ejim. Lefty layup, good, and the foul. What a turnaround by the Bulldogs, who have come to life at the beginning of this fourth quarter. And then starting to turn turnovers into points. So quickly they'd get up the court. And that was a fear of Coach Thomas's before the game, the fact that Gonzaga is a team that turns mistakes into points. They make you pay for every little thing you do wrong. And that was example A on that possession right there. Ellie Croco into the game for St. Mary's. Now an 11-point edge for Gonzaga. Croco out on the perimeter being hounded by O'Connor, gives it up to Bamberger. Bamberger has been the lone offensive force for St. Mary's as Kirasome fires a 3. That's too strong. Ball into the corner. Whedon keeps it alive to Croco. What an effort from Tacey Whedon. Skip past Dalton, thought about the 3, drives inside, hesitates, floater is there. And so the deficit back into single digits for St. Mary's. And for Taylor Dalton, just her second basket of the game. She's been a great offensive force in the recent weeks. And they could certainly use here down the stretch. Foul on a jump shot as Kirasome got a piece of Walker. And so the southpaw will go to the free throw line, and Anavir Joge re-enters for Gonzaga. Ejim to the bench. Meanwhile, St. Mary's brings back in Maddie Holland, and Kroko will head to the bench. Gonzaga beginning to get to the free throw line a lot more, especially in this second half. 8th and 9th attempt right here in the second half alone, and both good. As Walker, the fifth-year player from Oregon City, converts on both of her charity shots. Holland breaks the press for St. Mary's. Whedon, a three on the way. Too strong. Stacey Whedon has had trouble finding the range this afternoon. A lot of credit to Gonzaga as Whedon has been a point of emphasis for this Bulldog defense. The leading score for St. Mary's is 3 points. Walker another three. That one's off. Whedon taps it out. Ball down on the deck and stripped away. St. Mary's comes up with it. Kirasome, one-on-one to the front court, tries to step through and now travels. And so at the 4:30 mark, media timeout. St. Mary's needing a late flurry. Gonzaga trying to extend their lead, of which currently resides at 11. 55-44, Gonzaga over St. Mary's here in Moraga. And we'll be back after the media timeout. You're watching St. Mary's women's basketball on the WCC Network. 4 minutes and 31 seconds to go here in the fourth quarter between Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and the Gales looking for a late push as they trail by 11, 55-44. And Kaylee Trong orchestrates the offense for Gonzaga, and Kempton will swing it around. Now on the way to Kaylin Trong, who sticks the jumper. Well, the Trong twins have been very influential in this game, as they have for Gonzaga all season. And the Bulldogs have a 13-point lead. Tacey Whedon for three. All-time three-pointer number 267. And she is just one away from tying the program record, 2 away from breaking it. That's the deficit to 10. And St. Mary's might need 2 more threes from Whedon if they want to try and come back in this game. Trong, the jumper from the free throw line, is off. Out of bounds. It's going to be off of Gonzaga. For Whedon, 2 of 5 now from downtown in her 31 minutes of play. And St. Mary's has really generated looks like that all night. The jump shots just have not fallen as much as they would like. Holland over to Kirasome, trying to dump it off to Bamberger, but right into the hands of Trong. Up ahead into the corner. Walker's hit a couple of threes from there, dives inside, pulls up, off the back of the rim. Holland on the deck, fights for the rebound, gives it up to Dalton. Screaming into the front court she comes, stops, hesitates, and scores! Timeout Gonzaga. And St. Mary's out of the media responds with a nice 90-second run. And a little 6-2 spurt for the Gales has cut the deficit to 8. 3:16 to play and a timeout taken by Gonzaga. We'll keep it here through the break in the action. But that is exactly what St. Mary's has needed from the likes of Taylor Dalton. Really a high motor player that has been very consistent over the last couple of games. She had 17 points against Pepperdine a week ago. Was instrumental in the win on Thursday against San Diego. And now triggers the transition for St. Mary's, forcing the break in the action for Gonzaga, who needed to talk it over. 3:16 to go. Both teams shooting nearly identical from the floor. 37% for Gonzaga, 36% for St. Mary's. Gales with 3 and change to try and turn around this game against a team tied for the top of the WCC standings. Foul on the perimeter, and it's going to be on Bamberger. Got in the way of Trong. And so that will be the already 4th personal foul, or team foul, pardon me, of this 4th quarter for St. Mary's. And for Bamberger, just her 2nd personal. Bamberger's got 22 points to lead all scores. Trong splits the double team, kicks into the corner to her twin. 3-pointer on the way is good. A nice play made by Kaylee Trong. Better jump shot made by Kaylin Trong. An 11-point lead for Gonzaga. Dalton on the outside. Kirisomi, and now a foul is called. And Paul Thomas right in the ear of the official. They both saw the same thing. And first team foul on Gonzaga in quarter number 4. It's going to go against Walker, her first personal. Ejim back into the game for Gonzaga. Substitutes for Virjoge. 2.5 to go. Whedon off the double team, leaves it for Holland, who lays it in. Tacey Whedon recognizing that the defense was coming out to her. 2 defenders gravitated towards her. Left Holland wide open down on the block. And now Kaylin Trong gives it up for Kempton. There's Kaylee. Has an opening. Didn't want the jump shot. Instead gives it down inside to Kempton. And Bamberger, who thought she got all ball, is called for the shooting foul. And so that will put St. Mary's into the bonus with 2:06 left here in the 4th. And another chance for Gonzaga to make it a double-digit lead. They do. Gonzaga is led by as many as 13. Really due to the beginning of this 4th quarter. In a period so far in which they've shot 50%, and they've hit 2 threes. Second free throw is off, so a 10-point lead for the Bulldogs. St. Mary's up ahead. Whedon steps back. 3-pointer on the way. Short. Rebound snared and wrestled away by Kempton. A good look by Whedon, and now a foul is called, and St. Mary's is opting to try and play the free throw game. Now, as a team, Gonzaga shoots on 77% from the stripe. Efficient from 3-point distance. And they have made the most free throws of any West Coast Conference team this season, as Trong steps up and puts it in. Now tied with her sister for the game high in points and surpasses her. So 13 points there, and a timeout is going to be taken by St. Mary's. 1:50 to play. And we'll take a quick break in the action here on the WCC Network. 63-51. Gonzaga leads St. Mary's. You're watching Gales women's basketball. My name is Evan Giddings. We'll be back in a moment. 1:50 to go here in quarter number 4. Evan Giddings with you from inside UCU Pavilion. St. Mary's with a bit of a hole to dig themselves out of. Not much time to do it. Kirisome on the outside pulls up at the free throw line. That shot is off. Rebound wrestled for and won by Gonzaga, and a foul is called on Bamberger. That's going to be her 4th personal. And into the bonus already was Gonzaga, and so back to the free throw line go the Bulldogs. Now, depending on the finish, unfortunately, the score is not going to reflect just how tight this game was, really up until the 4th quarter, as St. Mary's entered the final period trailing by just 1. It was 41-40 entering the final 10 minutes as Trong is able to knock down her first free throw. Pretty much even in terms of field goal percentage between both sides. St. Mary's barely losing the turnover battle as Holland up ahead off of the second free throw missed. 13-point lead that ties the largest of the day for Gonzaga. Holland drives left, bends around the corner, easy lane to the cup, and she lays it in softly. But Gonzaga just was able to find the range, especially from distance at the beginning of this 4th quarter. In the second half, 3 of 6 from downtown compared to the first half in which they were just 1 of 6. This is a team that shoots the best percentage in the conference from 3-point range. And St. Mary's, for the first 30 minutes of this game, did an excellent job of stifling that. But as all good teams do, Gonzaga was able to find a way to turn it on. And Ejim at the free throw line will put it in. Of course, the free throw discrepancy and the gap widening with the amount of fouls that St. Mary's has committed down the stretch on purpose. 22 free throws, 18 of which connected on by Gonzaga. 13-point lead for the Bulldogs. Dalton to the corner. Whedon thought about a 3. Looks for the opening, dumps it off to Bamberger. And stripped by Gonzaga, but out of bounds was Trong. So St. Mary's will remain in possession. 53.7 seconds left on the game clock. Kirisome dumps it out to Holland. Dalton now drives inside. Has nowhere to go with it. 10 of the shot clock off the Kirisome pump fake. Bamberger drives inside, looks for the contact, and gets it. And that foul is going to be on Kempton as Bamberger will go back to the free throw line. She is the only Gale today that has gotten to the free throw line. Attempts number 6 and 7 upcoming for Bamberger, who has 22 points to lead all scores. Maddie Holland, the only other Gale into double digits, as Paul Thomas will now make a massive substitutions. And unfortunately, St. Mary's is going to fall this afternoon. Still a hard-fought game, and have to imagine that Thomas has to be impressed with his team being tested by the best. And they really, again, stood up to the Bulldogs for the first 30 minutes of this game. It was just these final 10 that Gonzaga was able to pull away. Coming up in the postgame, we'll have a chance to catch up with assistant coach Allison Fasnacht and get her thoughts on the performance from St. Mary's, as Bamberger cannot convert on either. And there's an 8-second separation between shot clock and game clock. Gonzaga really not in one particular player that stood out in as far as scoring or their defense, just an all-around group effort. And that's what's helped lead them to a 13 and soon to be 14-4 overall record. Trong batted away, right back to her, forces from 3, left to the rim, no, ball down to the deck and wrestled away by Gonzaga, and that will do it. St. Mary's fights for the first 3 quarters, hangs into the 4th, but Gonzaga too much for the Gales, and they win 66-53 here today. So St. Mary's will fall to 9-7 overall on the season. Still 3-2 in West Coast Conference play after a pair of victories in this past week against conference foes. Meanwhile, Gonzaga, as we just mentioned, advances to 14-4 overall, and they remain perfect in the conference, 5-0 on the season. Allison Fasnacht will join us in just a minute to help us wrap this one up. But here today, again, you have to look at what was an excellent first half for St. Mary's, really an excellent first 3 quarters for the Gales. And unfortunately, unlike the fourth quarter against San Diego, they were unable to turn the game on its head. Fell behind to San Diego, came from behind to win that game. Today, they nearly were able to pull ahead against Gonzaga, and then it was the Bulldogs that ran away with it. And so as we get a second here, assistant coach Allison Fasnacht preparing to join us on the broadcast. Allison, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously a tough loss for St. Mary's, but I don't think the final score really reflects just the intensity and the competition in this game. St. Mary's obviously was in it for the first 3 quarters. What did you see between the first 30 and the final 10 that ended up giving the game to Gonzaga?
Yeah, I think for us, we got caught fouling a little bit too much in the half court. We had some instances where we didn't guard the high on ball very well. They're kind of getting to the rim. They had a couple of and ones. We gave up an and one in transition. We fouled a couple of jump shooters. I think that's really tough when you're having to work really hard on the defensive end, and then you end up fouling a jump shooter, or just can't get the defensive rebound and end up fouling. So that, I think, was the difference in the final period.
Well, and obviously the loss is still fresh. It's never fun to lose, but a lot of positives to be taken away from this game. What did you see in the first 3 periods that allowed St. Mary's and your team to stay in it and to nearly take on Gonzaga, a team that has really had no trouble with a lot of the conference competition thus far? You've been absolutely their best test thus far. Yeah,
I mean, for us, we're not scared of Gonzaga. Like, I know they've had success in this league before, but we've beaten them multiple times. So for us, like, we're not trying to stay close with Gonzaga. We came into this game very much expecting to win. We're playing to win, and I think for us, Allie Bamberger was unbelievable for us today, just battling inside, to have to defend the way she was defending, and also going to work on her end. I think she ended up with 22 tonight, multiple rebounds. So ultimately, if we could have maybe fed her a little bit more, they were obviously trying to take that away late. You could tell they were kind of leaving it help defender in the paint a little bit longer, which made it tougher. But yeah, we're showing glimpses. We're getting there. But yeah, tough way to end in the fourth for us.
Well, and I thought the team took a big step forward in how you took care of the basketball. I know you mentioned down the stretch there were a few turnovers, but really throughout the game did a great job at not giving Gonzaga extra possessions. Was there an emphasis on that, considering the 26 turnovers on Thursday, even though it resulted in the win? What changed between then and now that allowed you to take care of the basketball better?
I think for us, we're always talking about trying to take care of the ball better. We've had a few games earlier this season where we really turned it over as well, and it's kind of been our Achilles heel. And with a team like Gonzaga, they're not going to pressure us as much as a team like San Diego did, so I think that was part of it, is just a different style defensively. But with Gonzaga, too, they just make you pay every time you turn the ball over. We were able to get away with some turnovers in San Diego, and they missed some shots, and we were able to get the ball back. But Gonzaga, they're going to make you pay, if you don't take care of it. And there's not as many possessions. I mean, they scored 66 points, but we were holding them in the 40s, entering the fourth. That's where you want to be, defensively. But there's not a whole lot of extra possessions where if you do turn the ball over, it's just hard to get it back.
Well, you'll get a second crack at them in February, but coming up next and looking ahead on Thursday, a game here at home against San Francisco. What do you want to try to do against the Dons and hopefully get back in the win column? Yeah, I mean, San Francisco's a tough team. We played them tough in the West Coast Conference tournament last year, but they kind of had our number. They have a great guard, in their leading scorer, Camille, so we're going to have to be ready for that test. They also have a couple new players who we haven't seen before who have come on this year. So for us, it's always going to be about handling things on the defensive end, defensive rebounding, and then for us, keep taking care of the ball one and having assisted baskets is the key for us. Awesome. Assistant Coach Allison Fasnacht with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry about the result, but I'm sure you'll get back in the win column soon.
All right, we'll see you at San Francisco.
Appreciate it. Allison Fasnacht with us on the post-game show here as St. Mary's falls to Gonzaga 64-53. And I thought some key points there talked about by Fasnacht. And unfortunately, obviously, the loss is not what you want, but, such a great effort defensively through 3 quarters, holding Gonzaga, a team that is highly efficient, averages about 70 points per game, kept them under that point. And really, if not for a late flurry in the fourth, in which the Bulldogs scored 25 points in the fourth quarter, would have been much lower, held them to 41 points through 3 quarters. Gonzaga shot just 36% from the field, 31% from 3, both well below their averages for the season. So a great defensive effort from St. Mary's, just unfortunately offensively not efficient enough today in order to get the job done. And after the first opening minutes, they led by 5 with about 5.5 to go in the first quarter. Things were looking good for St. Mary's after a strong start, and primarily due to how they shot it from distance. We talked about the emphasis on that in the pregame and how over the past 4, St. Mary's had shot 46% from three-point range. Well, today, unfortunately, after making 3 of their first 5, just 1 of 13 beyond that point. And, of course, credit to Gonzaga, a team that has held West Coast Conference teams to a season low 56.5 points, and they held St. Mary's today to just 53. So obviously credit to a team right now that has won 5 consecutive regular season West Coast Conference titles in Gonzaga, but also credit to St. Mary's. And despite the 13-point final being the one that's going to go on the box score, I think a much closer game. We saw a few lead changes, 2 of which to be exact. The game was tied 4 times throughout the first half, and a very competitive first half where you didn't really know going into the locker room which side was going to come out with the win. And Gonzaga, a veteran group that has 2 starting returners along with 7 letter winners from a year ago, was able to come away with the victory against a St. Mary's team, a very dynamic and a team that has a lot of variety to offer and is starting to get a little more healthy too. Jade Kirasome, who missed a game last weekend against Pepperdine, returned. That was a good sign for her, who played 20 minutes tonight. And of course, Allie Bamberger, who Allison Fasnack talked about with us during the interview, 22 points to lead all scores, 8 of 15 from the floor, 8 rebounds in 35 minutes for Bamberger, who also played 35 minutes against San Diego and had 21 and 8. So she has been a model of consistency, both offensively and defensively for St. Mary's, and they will have to try and take that and add to that offensively, as Maddie Holland, the second leading scorer for St. Mary's today, efficient from the floor, 6 of 11 for 13 points and 8 rebounds. But Tacey Whedon, who drew closer to the 3-point all-time record, knocked down a pair of triples, 2 of 6 from 3-point range for 6 points for Tacey Whedon, as she now has 267 all-time 3-pointers and is soon to be number 1 in that category moving ahead. Hopefully it can be next Thursday against San Francisco. As we mentioned, a 6:30 tip here at UCU Pavilion. Hope you'll be able to join us here on the West Coast Conference Network. Meanwhile, for Gonzaga, they got the remainder of their 3-game road trip coming up. They'll be at Pepperdine on Thursday and then on Saturday against San Diego. And we hope, again, you can join us for St. Mary's and their next home match, an opportunity to get back in the win column against a San Francisco team that right now has only been 2-4 in the WCC, 8-10 overall. So a team that you like St. Mary's chances on paper against, and a chance for them to use what they learned today against a team that is, the cream of the crop over the past couple of years in the conference. A litmus test that I'm sure St. Mary's felt like they passed for the first 30 minutes, just unfortunately could not walk away with the win due to a tough fourth. All right, that'll wrap things up here from Moraga and from UCU Pavilion. A 66-53 final. Gonzaga beats St. Mary's. The Gales fall to 9-7 overall, 3-2 in conference play. Gonzaga advances to 14-4 overall, 5-0 in conference play. Big thank you to Emily Smith, along with our entire production staff here in St. Mary's. My name is Evan Giddings, saying so long. Or again, our final this afternoon from Moraga. Gonzaga 66, St. Mary's 53. Have a good weekend, everyone.